see my screen?
Yep.
With the list.
Hey, Christian, I'll fess up. I am almost to my house to switch in front of my computer, but I'm not there yet. So in about 5 or so minutes, I will be hopefully able to see your screen.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to, and Megan, if you're on there, don't worry, I'm taking notes. And I'll type them up, okay? So one thing I just wanted to go over, it seems like, last time, my screen name, we were talking about how to match and look at and basically carefully select the counties, looking at top and bottom, to compare differences, which I think will add a nice layer to this. And we started talking about, any other matching criteria or other criteria just to add in, so that we do a thoughtful choice of counties, which to go, where to visit and do the deep dive and qualitative work. So I just wanted to put up here, and hopefully you guys see it now, the lists, and you see the split screen. Hopefully on the left, I have the least active areas, and on the right, in the right-hand window I'm highlighting now, are the most active. And again, split by male, female, because that's the way the data from Dwyer Lindgren were split up. So you want to talk about things we notice in this, and then exact variables add in to either just describe these counties better or to more purposefully select some. Does that sound like a good plan for the day?
Yeah. Well, I just think we should all go to Kalawao County, Hawaii.
Yes.
So,
yes, let's do
that's
that.
my suggestion.
You think that's better than Owsley County, Kentucky? Or Issaquah County?
Issaquah.
So what do you guys notice about the on the left side, the least active areas?
I think the regional difference is pretty pronounced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is.
Basically, if you want the least active areas, you just come visit me.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, does it make any sense to just focus on a region instead of national? So are there active rural southern counties? Like obviously they're not going to be in the top in the national census, but are there some that are, say, in the top 25% or something like that, that you can say they're more active southern counties? So they're meeting some of the markers of these least, where you expect them to be in the least active, but there's something going on there that they're active that we can focus on.
Okay. So pick regions of the country, and then within those regions, identify a top couple of counties and bottom couple. Okay.
Yeah.
Renee, Megan, what do you guys think?
That sounds like a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good idea, and it kind of hits on stuff we've already talked before, and I know that all of us have thought of before, is that it'll capture some of the variability within rural and I guess urban, or I guess rural standpoint from the geographic differences. So it's a good idea.
Okay, so then maybe the analysis then could be within regions and between regions. We could look at all, let's say if we do 5 regions and, two most active and 2 least active within each region, that's 20 counties, and this is just hypothetical. Then we could compare, so essentially counties in each region, 2 good, 2 bad, quote unquote. You could do a within region and then across regions comparison. So it could be good versus bad, 10 counties versus 10 counties, and then it could be, 2 versus 2 within each region. I don't know. There's a fancy name for that kind of analysis, but
I really like it because I like sticking with the county information because that's a big piece we're missing in the literature.
okay. So that begs the question then. Thank you, Megan, for being deep in the literature. Good to have students. Good to have doc students on the call. The rest of us are just punishing you, doc students.
No.
No, I'm just kidding. So how would we pick the regions?
Good call. I guess it kind of depends on how many regions we are wanting to include is one way of thinking about it, because I mean, you could think of the different parts of the country in different ways. And then you also have Hawaii, so you've got Hawaii and Alaska, and that's other territories if we were thinking those.
Mike, what do you think? You're oftentimes, I feel like you and Justin are usually big on defining regions and rural and.
Yeah, I mean, you could just use some of the census regions that they already created or find. Again, I don't necessarily know that it has to be a certain standard regionalization. I think you could make the case there's so many different ways of regionalizing. As you said, even using the census, Delaware is considered in the South, but
yeah.
But I'm wondering if 'cause I don't necessarily know that it's going to be too there's going to be not to be that precise in terms of there you go, 9 census divisions.
Mm-hmm. Show me the census. So we have 9 census divisions and 4 census regions. Mm-hmm. I'm going to look at the 4 regions and then.
I'm almost wondering, after we look at the regions, like if we can look at the
there you go.
divisions past that, and maybe the divisions will give us a little bit more.
I think if you use those 4 regions right there, that it's going to give us enough. I mean, you look at the what you're seeing is your kind of upper Midwest, your New England, your South, and your Western states. I mean, I think that they're going to still cluster around certain areas within that region. You're going to see in the South, you're going to see more Appalachia, and Deep South and Northeast, you're going to see more New England in the top, probably Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, somewhere in the bottom. In the Midwest, you're going to see more Minnesota, maybe Wisconsin and Michigan in the upper, some of Ohio, and down in the lower levels, and I don't really know about the West, but I'm sure Colorado's going to be up at the top, most of that. So.
Yeah. So, and this shows the regions too, the 9 divisions. Sorry, as well. Pacific, right. Mountain, West, North, Central. So, I guess in the interest of starting small and piloting it, we could go with the 4 regions, and maybe 2 good, 2 bad counties in each. That would be 16 counties. No, that would still be pretty big, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. And we also have to think of coverage of where we are if we're trying to, I mean, unless we get some good money for this, it'll be tough to go visit.
Yeah, are we thinking right now in terms of the secondary data analysis standpoint, like jumping from there, and then, I mean, maybe that's what it is, Christian, as we can do bigger when we're talking about just pulling the data that's already been collected, and then we can get smaller when it comes to actually following up with interviews or whatnot.
Yeah, and I feel like so right now we're using the existing data to identify the counties, and then once we pick our counties, then we're doing the the deep qualitative look after we figure out the questions or policy documents to look up, whatever it may be. So the way, and I'm trying to figure this out. Essentially, we have the lowest county. So what we could do now is take so what I could do is with the regions, so the 4 regions, chop up the data that way now and identify, top and bottom list most and least active lists for each region. I'll also I can plug the census divisions pretty quickly probably too. So essentially I just have to add those two variables to the files that I have, right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So county by county, plugging in which census region and which census division they're in, which I'm sure is out there somewhere pretty handily by county FIPS code. I'm sure I could do that pretty quickly. Yeah, because right now, if we just look at the most active are in the west and northeast, and the least active are in the south, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we barely touch the Midwest. Yeah, I'm just, let me go back. So yeah, if we start, well, we have some, like Mexico in the most active, well, we have one, sorry. We have a couple Michigan counties in the most active. Alaska and Hawaii, I don't know. Road trip. Okay, so
we may just have to stick to the continental U.S. That's where we're going.
Yeah.
just based on who we have on the call, basically, and in the group. Sorry. Okay, so what I'm going to do then, since I've been hoarding over the data here, is to plug in the region and division for each county, and then for the 4 regions, identify, maybe get a list of the 5 most and 5 least active counties. Is that among the most rural? Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we'll have the census divisions later if we need it in the data file. Okay, so any other talk about that?
No, that sounds like a good next step.
Okay. Now, how do we feel about, what do you want to do about picking other variables to plug in as either simply descriptive measures of the counties, right, or other ways to compare, or other things to hold, just other variables to control for. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Which ones do we already have pulled in?
Yeah, if you see my screen, I haven't plugged these in yet, but I have some 3- and 5-year. Can you guys see the variable or the file list?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I have from American Community Survey, basically about people, so employment, age, income, poverty, stuff like that. And I have, what's that, journey to work data. So we have percentage of people walking, biking, transit, single vehicle, male, female. Yeah, this would be ugly to look at in sharing screen. So I also, and I know Mike, we exchanged emails about this, some USDA data.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in this one I have the, it was the access, it was green space. What's that variable? Recreation, fitness facilities, the natural, well, that's from 99, the natural amenity index is in there. I want to try to keep the variables as close in year as possible. But what was the other one? Rec facilities or green space acres? I'm trying to remember what that other one was, Mike.
Yeah, either.
Got a lot of fast food, WIC, and SNAP. Yeah, I guess it was recreation facilities, was it? that we had
Oh.
exchanged email about?
Probably.
It's down here toward the bottom, right? Yeah, these variables are all a few years older. Yeah, there's the recreation and facilities stuff, recreation and fitness facilities. So, okay. Well, this is what they have for physical activity.
Mike, would you think that the natural amenities would change much since 1999?
No.
Okay. I had that kind of thought too, but it's not my area, so.
Yeah, I mean, there's, the only thing that I can think of is, the average summer winter temperatures, but I think that would be all rising together if climate change actually existed. According to our government, it doesn't, but so.
Yeah.
It's cold here today.
Yeah, but I think it would all be the sort of any changes I think would be standard, not standard, but pretty consistent across the country. So you're not going to have all of a sudden new mountains popping up or.
We lose mountains pretty much
Yeah.
every month here.
Yeah, I know. But you still have more
Good for your
mountains
health.
than we do. So.
Okay, so I'm going to start typing things out so we have it. So rec and fitness facilities, natural amenity index, anything else from USDA stuff? I mean, that's the only, those are the real.
Natural amenities, Christian, was the natural amenities the part where you were also saying green space acres, or is that a different one?
Yeah, it's a different.
That is a different. I don't know where that one is. I thought it was in here, but a lot about food, of course, USDA.
Yeah.
Availability of food stores, expenditures, SNAP, all food assistance, food prices, got the health data, which we have elsewhere, got socioeconomic stuff, which we get elsewhere. Yeah, that's it. So.
Yeah, the natural amenities it's about topography, temperatures, access to or water availability, that kind of stuff. So.
Okay. Well, I think that would be helpful to include because we talk about and know that there are more of those spaces available in rural areas. It doesn't mean they're accessed or accessible.
Yeah.
More so, but.
Yeah, and what we found in terms of our North Carolina county level study was when you look at the amenities, it was really sort of separated these rural counties into like sort of amenity-rich counties and then more agricultural counties that were didn't have those type of amenities in terms of climbing mountains or playing in the water, that kind of stuff. So.
Okay, what do you want to get from ACS or American Community Survey or census data? What variables you think would be important? I'm just going to start typing. Hopefully you see the screen.
Yeah.
Race, ethnicity.
I think I wanted to mention, yeah.
Poverty, education.
Education, yep.
Employment, income, poverty, income.
Is there, I think they've got one somewhere in terms of commute time.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's in the journey to work.
Yep.
Non-moto, commute time. Okay. What are the other big ones?
Do you want median household income?
Household income, yep. I'm going to say age or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, what other kind of stuff?
I mean, would it be interesting to look at? I mean, do we have, or I guess, is there a variable around number of kids within the household?
Is that children in the household?
Yeah. Does that exist?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's also,
Maybe.
it's what, percent of children in poverty or something?
Mhm.
Poverty. What about, there's something, did you guys get to look at that, that USDA report I sent around? Did anybody see that? Did I send it to you guys? It's about,
I am not calling it Christian, but that doesn't mean it didn't come through.
so essentially it's like the counties, so it was about the rural economy, and it's from USDA, the ERS stuff, I think it's from census data, but the counties, the rural counties with the highest prevalence of, or that were dominated by, or the majority of people, what was it? The majority of people are in the recreation, quote unquote, industry.
Oh, that's
Were the
right.
counties over the last 10 years that saw the greatest population increases and median income increases, or have the highest median income. But at the same time, the recreation industry wages were the lowest.
Yeah.
Real
Okay.
interesting.
You did send that around. I think you brought it up on the overall PAPRN Plus Rural call.
Got it.
If I can find it.
So I'm just going to put in here for employment, maybe the type of industry. I don't know if that's in the ACS or not. But any other county level data you guys want to plug into this? I mean, do we care about other health data? But again, we run into the same problem of low sample size in rural areas for BRFSS.
I mean, it might not be bad to at least have it from a descriptive standpoint with a caveat that there is that issue within the data.
Stuff like diabetes, obesity, I don't even know what else.
Yeah,
I know life expectancy has been a big interest here lately within the rural communities, so maybe that would be one to look at if they have it.
Okay, good. Oh yeah, so the rural white folks that are seeing the biggest decreases in life expectancy.
Yes, sir.
You scare me when you say sir, Megan.
Yeah.
As soon as it came out of my mouth, I knew you were going to have a comment.
You knew I
I'm
was
sorry.
gonna say that. I appreciate the respect, ma'am, but anyway.
You know, maybe looking if there are some of our larger comorbidity type of rates like diabetes, CVD, just as a from a descriptive standpoint, even if we can't do anything else from a covariate.
Okay. I know the other time we talked about presence of higher education or something. I don't know if that's in this.
Oh, yeah. You know, I think that if we can capture that, we need to somehow, I think we need to.
Mm-hmm. I just don't know where that is, but.
I don't either. That might be a task for Megan to get more involved with.
Yeah.
After we bring down the counties, have her investigate those. Megan, I'm volunteering you for fun exploration.
That sounds like a great idea. I've been waiting for something.
You're waiting. I need to tax people.
Look out. Okay, that's a pretty good list. Anything else we can think of?
Does it make sense to include any effort, if we do end up describing by kind of chronic disease rates, to include a mental health, whatever is being reported in from a mental health standpoint?
Sure. It's does BRFSS still collect the what is that, number of days in the last 30? Or physical
so.
health? Other ones, okay. Number of days last 30. they're two different questions, right? One physical, one mental health.
I think that's right. At least that's one portion of it. There might be one that's more detailed, hidden every so many, or offered every so many years. But I can't remember that part off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's a nice list of variables to start plugging in. Okay. What other stuff to talk about? I feel like we figured out which, how to break up regions and which ones to pick. Okay, this is all notes from last time. Match to a degree. Okay. Start a list of potential. Okay. So I'm looking at our notes from last time, which hopefully are on the screen now. And last time we said next call, finalize list of counties, most and least active, discuss the pilot testing and data collection tool. So tell you what, why don't we just stick with that first bullet for today's call? We've finalized, the regions and all that. And then next time we can, again, look at the lists. And then how about on our next call, or do you guys want to start? Just throwing out ideas of what we might collect once we get to the phase of researching these counties? Or do you think that would not be a good use of time?
I mean, we're going to get there eventually, right?
Yeah. Or at least at a high level, what we would collect. And then, I mean, we could go, social ecological levels? I mean.
Yeah. I mean, that's at least a framework that allows us to move in that type of systematic fashion. I mean, I know that's where we ended up kind of landing on the call to action paper too, just because it let us talk within within a framework that others could follow easily. I mean, I guess on a higher level, although these are detail oriented, I think it'd be nice to understand what types of I guess these are policies, but or programs are in place, like, is there a safe routes to school, anything version, is there a rails to trace, and things like that that have been, we've seen some of that in some rural communities. I mean, I guess, is there even a, go ahead, sorry.
I was just thinking influential people, because they're small places, so that, big fish, little pond, who is the go-to person for activity, who's the health nut or exercise nut, right?
Who are the catalyst? Usually they have a catalyst.
Yeah. That's so fancy.
And I think building on that too is which departments.
What?
Maybe department is a strong word. Which department? So there are some rural areas that still have Parks and Recs departments, and sometimes there aren't. Sometimes there are actual health departments that are more local. Sometimes there aren't. So I think understanding that type of infrastructure would be helpful.
Transportation.
Mm-hmm.
City, county government types, entities. Maybe somebody from the school. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there'd be multiple sectors you'd want to talk to. I mean, schools, health department, Parks and Recreation if it exists, extension.
Yeah.
Folks.
Schools, extension, Parks, Rec, health department.
Government, county government or county seat government, whatever.
So it's, we got to remember sectors. Parks Rec.
I would say the faith-based community.
Yeah, faith-based.
Oh yeah, we could start thinking about just use the sectors from the physical activity plan, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, where do boys and girls clubs and those type of organizations fit? Like, are they just an extra sector, or do they fit underneath?
I'd say that or you know, out of school time sector would be another.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you want to change it, it can be out of school time.
Out of school, sorry.
If you want to get rid of the after before. That's why I think it used to be after school time, and now they've changed out of school time. Because they usually
Out of
do
school time.
they usually do holiday and summer programming too in a lot of communities. So
Oh yeah.
Yep, we have that for sure. Okay. And we can get into the details of this stuff later, but I think it's just we got to start putting stuff into notes here.
Yeah. Now, Mike, you have previous work. I can't remember if it was your dissertation or post-dissertation that we were going to pull.
Mm-hmm.
We were going to look at and thinking through this, right?
Yeah, for a little bit. 'Cause I mean, it's very similar to the work I did. It was supposed to be part of my dissertation, and then my committee just told me not to do it because it was going to be too much. So I ended up doing it post dissertation. But it was, you know, really, you know, key informant interviews with a focus around, you know, two counties in North Carolina that were sort of similar, but one seemed to have a lot of resources and one didn't. And so I was kind of looking at, and I was really looking at the racial sort of structures there, but there are a lot of things about, a lot of similarities in terms of getting to the understanding the processes within the county that facilitate these kind of things. But again, they weren't based on, I didn't have any sort of physical activity data or anything to base it on. It was just about the availability of resources.
Well, maybe that's something we can visit what you did. The other thing that just thinking through this, I may think of is the AIRLAR grant that Jeff Howell and I did. God, that was 2006, I think. We did some key informant interviews trying to define active living within rural communities, and so we definitely have, I mean, I can pull up, probably not, it's not going to be precisely what we need, and it's not looking at what we're looking at, but some of those questions and some of the people we identified to interview might be helpful, and I'm happy to pull those and share them anyways, at least from a starting point, to maybe build off, Mike, what your previous work.
That would be nice. Share that. Do we want to go in and use one of the instruments, or do we think the instruments don't work? One of the more, the RALA, or one of the more, the rural active living instruments, or no?
I think the RALA is worth investigating. Not necessarily the segment part of it, but the other pieces where you do usually end up interviewing people within the community, at least looking at it to see.
Yeah, I agree. I think the community level sort of side of that would be interesting.
Okay. Are there any others that we should look at? What's the other one? The RALPES?
The RALPES is a perceived, so like an individual level perceived environmental support scale. So if we ended up, I mean, that might be interesting to pull or have the people we interview respond, and we know what their individual perception is, but probably not as helpful as like the community level, like Mike was saying with the RALA. And I'm trying to think through the other pieces that come out. There's definitely some other segment-specific rural tools. Those aren't going to be helpful.
No. Right.
I don't know. I mean, Megan, do you want to see if you see any new rural-specific tools out there? Do you want to spend a little time seeing if you see anything else we should think about?
I can definitely do that. Do you guys have a timeline?
For our next call?
Okay, that'll work.
So, Renee, if you don't mind sharing then what you talked about, the people you interviewed for that other project.
Yeah,
And
I'll do that.
does anybody have the RALA handy that could just send out?
I do.
Or
I can send it.
yeah, send it to me and I'll attach it, in an email that I send the minutes out.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so next time, maybe what we'll do is start talking about instrumentation and look at a list of counties and pick them. Then go to our rich uncles and ask for money.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Ants, rich ants.
Hey, Christian. Rich ants. Christian, when is the Big 12 thing due?
I think it's due next week, to be honest, or
Oh.
might be next Friday or the following Monday.
Okay.
I haven't looked.
Maybe,
I haven't even looked how rough the application would be, but
I don't think it's that rough, but maybe you and I can, I mean, that's not going to solve all the world's problems, but it's definitely money hanging out there.
sure. Yeah, so after the call, I'll take a look, and it could serve to what? Just pilot test in a nearby county, at least for us to get together and pilot test it. Does it work for, does it, what can we do? Both? Can we travel, can I travel there and you travel?
Both. Yep, you can go both directions. I cannot remember if there's like money beyond just travel that you can use it for. I need to relook at it. But I mean, there might be some other creative ways to, I don't know, use it. But
Yeah, I think we could do a pilot test, use it for pilot testing somehow. Maybe go visit one county each or 2 counties or something that are nearby.
mm-hmm.
I don't know if anything's nearby in Texas or not, but
I just got out of the. I know. I was say we just got out of the car driving up to Oklahoma yesterday. That was 5.5 hours nearby.
Yeah, you can go 120 miles an hour, so it's all right.
Oh, I don't know. No, you hit all those other rural towns along the way where you get to stop and see their one stoplight.
Okay.
Good. No, but let's look at that briefly. So I'll send. It might take me about an hour to do it, but send the RALA and the key informant stuff from that 2006 project to at least we can think through that.
Okay. So send list of interviewees, send RALA, Megan, do everything we ask. And what have you been assigned, Megan?
You assigned me looking through the literature to see if there are any other rural tools for now, and then after the counties are selected, I will start finding the different variables. I think the variables you guys assigned me were the disease, status, life expectancy, things like that.
Don't worry about that, because I have that basically. I just have to plug it in to the FIPS coded list of counties. The other one was finding. I'll try to look for higher education. That was the one I think we were talking about.
Okay.
And then if needed. Yeah, I think it's right now it's just the literature, the new rural instruments. Yeah.
Hey, y'all, I got to get off the phone. I've got a hungry baby that I've got to go and take care of.
Understood. I think that's basically it for today anyway. Other than scheduling a next call, how about in July at some point? You guys okay with that?
That sounds good. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I'll
Thank
send
y'all
out
so much.
Thanks, Nate. See you next week.
Renee, I'll contact you about the Big 12 thing. Oh, we lost her. Okay.
She's gone.
Mike, do you have any homework?
So if you'd like, I can send, I mean, I may have sent already. I don't know if I've sent my article from Journal of Rural Health about what that used my key informant interview, but I can also send my interview guide that I use if that's helpful.
That would be good. Okay. I'm gonna start plugging in the additional data as well. All that stuff we started plugging in additional data. Okay. Okay.
All right.
Okay. And then the next one, send out a doodle, finalize list of counties next time, and finalize the data collection.
All right.
Awesome stuff. All right, guys, thanks so much.
Yep. Thank you, Christian.
All right.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.